So for this dress, after looking at it, for the upper part we have a bustier, we have a lace placement, and we also have a draping at the underbust towards the waistline of this dress. So here is a simple illustration on how to achieve this dress. So we have a lot going on this dress. So to break it down, I'll be cutting it in a much smaller size because I'm going to use a pattern paper to form like a drape at the upper part to explain the part that we have like a lace placement on top. Now, if you look at the upper part of this dress, we have like a bustier with a yoke, the lace placement forming a monostrap, right? So you need your shoulder to bust, your shoulder to under bust, and your shoulder to waistline. So we are cutting the upper part of this dress first. First step you need to take is to mark your shoulder divided by 2, then come down by 1 inch. From this 1 inch now, you mark a basic neckline of 3 inches by 3 inches for this. So I'm marking this in form of a smaller size so that I can go ahead to join up the pattern when I'm explaining. Now connect from the shoulder to the neckline. Find your chest line is your bust round circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Now I'll draw out a straight line. After I'm done marking that, I'm going to place my tape and I'll mark my shoulder divided by 2. After marking this, I'm just going to draw a straight line and connect. Now you want to go ahead to place your tape and divide your armhole into 2, come out by ½ inch and mark your bust measurement divided by 4. Connect from here to the midpoint and connect it to that your bust round circumference divided by 4. After you're done marking this, the next step you take is to mark your dart. Mark your dart, you need to measure your nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple point is 7. If you divide it by 2, I have 3.5. So measure yours, divide it by 2 and mark whatever you have. Now from the neckline to that shoulder, fold your tape into 2 this way and you're going to connect this all the way to the upper part of your pattern. Then connect it. After you're done connecting, it's time to take your dart. For my dart, you can use 1.5 inches if you're a bit busty or your bust is fuller. If your bust is on the smaller size, you can use 1 inch on both sides. After marking this now, go ahead to place your ruler to connect and also connect at the other side. Now you want to place your ruler, connect to the under bust and also connect at the other side of your pattern. Now after marking this, decide where you want your bustier to start. You can measure from the shoulder or use 2 inches above your chest line. You can go ahead to ask your client where you want it to stop. Now for my dart intake, I used 0.75 on both sides. Let's say if you're a plus size, you can use 1 inch on this side and then 1.5 on this other side. So I'm using this because of you don't want to have much gaping on your pattern. Go ahead to draw out the neckline. The sweetheart neckline is not that deep. Now mark your bust measurement divided by 4 and add your sewing allowance. Now for the dart intake, you see this dart intake at the chest line. That's what you will measure and replace it. Then mark your under bust measurement divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, make sure you replace it by the side, then add your sewing allowance. After marking this, go ahead to mark your waist circumference divided by 4, then measure the dart intake you have. Go ahead to replace it. Whatever your dart intake is, make sure that you replace it to avoid reducing your allowance. Then you go ahead to add your sewing allowance to your pattern, right? So the next step you're going to take is to use your marker and you're going to connect back your pattern. After marking that is to mark your bust dart. Now to get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. Measure your shoulder to waist at the front, measure your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17, while my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. Minus 15.5 from 17, what you have is 1.5 for me, so that means my bust dart is 1.5. You connect it back to your dart. So I'm just going to cut this out. So after cutting this, I'm going to use my sellotape to hold it back as one piece because I want to go ahead to explain to you how you'll be joining it. Now go ahead to blend out this side, blend out your bust dart, because you're not going to sew it out. You just blend it on your pattern paper out and then draft it out. So I'll just go ahead and cut out the rest of my pattern. So after cutting this out, so this is what I have. Now the next step I'll take is to go ahead to join this. So what you'll be doing is you'll be joining your yoke to your base, that is, let's say to the Duchess fabric you're using to turn this, that is the upper part of the dress. You have like a plain fabric, you can use a Duchess for it, right? So let's say you're joining it, you're going to join your pattern, you're going to sew the upper part of your dress and then join the yoke. You're going to join the yoke. That lace you see on that dress is actually draped on it, right? So you're going to make your dress, join the upper part and the lower part, then you're now going to place your lace fabric on it, drape it from one shoulder to the side of the dress, right? Although I didn't get to see the back, we are still going to draft out the back. Now for the back, you can use a basic back pattern or you can use the keyhole pattern, that is creating an opening at the back. So let's start drafting out the back pattern. So for this back pattern now, what I have here is my zipper allowance. So for your zipper allowance, you can use 1.5 to 2 inches. So I don't know if the back has a lacing, but I just used a basic zipper allowance. Now what you need is your shoulder to bust. You don't need your shoulder to under bust. Then you measure your shoulder to waistline. Remember, your shoulder to waist in front is different, slightly different from your shoulder to waist at the back. Please go ahead to take that measurement. All your measurement is starting after the zipper line. Now go ahead to mark your shoulder divided by 2 and you're going to come down by 1 inch from this point. So after marking that 1 inch, go ahead to connect your neckline. So after connecting my neckline now, I'll mark out a basic neckline of 3 inches for the back. So now I'm just going to go ahead to just mark out a basic neckline for it. Let's say I'm using 3 by 1 inch, the back pattern of this dress. Now go ahead to mark your chest line, and to do that, to find out is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, just like we did for the front, and then mark back your shoulder measurement on the chest line and draw a straight line connecting. Now after you're done connecting, place your ruler at that point, divide what you have into 2 and come out by ½ inch. After marking this now, you're going to mark your bust measurement divided by 4. Now you're going to connect this all the way to the upper part, and then you're going to connect this to that of your bust measurement divided by 4 at the chest line of your dress. Now after you're done marking this, right, the next step is to mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2. Now remember, all this measurement you're taking is starting after the zipper line. So and remember, we are doing this in form of an illustration. So go ahead to mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2 again, starting after the zipper line. So go ahead to draw out a straight line at this point. After you're done drawing out that straight line, you'll be taking a basic dart intake of ½ inch on both sides of this pattern, and you're going to extend your dart lines all the way to the bust and come down by 1 inch. So from this point now, that 1 inch you came down, you now connect it to the ½ inch you have at the bust. Now I went ahead to outline my armhole, right? So after doing that, I'll go ahead to insert my measurements. I'll mark the waist circumference divided by 4. Measure this dart intake, replace, add your sewing allowance. Measure your bust circumference divided by 4 and then add your sewing allowance because there's no dart at the bust. So after you're done marking this now, you're going to go ahead to connect your pattern this way. So after you're done connecting, this is what you have. So the next step is to work on the other side of this pattern. I didn't get to see the back of this dress, but I'll be giving it a basic neckline, the basic keyhole neckline. So come down by 2 inches and you can go ahead to connect this way towards your nipple to nipple point. Outline your chest line area, right? So after you're done doing this, you're going to come up by 0.3 or 0.5 and then come down by 0.5 again. From that 0.5, connect it from the chest line and also connect this. This is to help tighten the back so that you don't have any excess at the back pattern. Now for the zipper bulge, mark 1/2 inch here. Now to avoid your allowance reducing, replace it by the side. And now I'm going to place my ruler and connect this all the way up. Now after you're done connecting at this point, also go ahead to reconnect it to the side of your pattern. Now this is what I have, and I'll go ahead to cut this out. So after cutting out this pattern, we are going to go ahead to work on the upper part to explain how the monostrap effect that was used on the lace was on the dress was achieved. So if you have any questions so far, please go ahead and ask. So what I have here is I have 2 pieces for the back. You can decide to blend out your dart or sew it out, right? So I just cut out all this pattern for the upper part in 2 pieces so that I can use it to explain to you. Now I'll just go ahead to use my tape to tape it up as if I am sewing the dress. So after taping this up, this is what I have. Now I'll join the front and the back together as if I am sewing this dress. So when you're making this dress, you're actually going to make the front pattern of this dress probably with your plain fabric. Let's say your plain Duchess. Then you're going to sew the lower part of your dress. You're going to join the upper part and the lower part of your dress. Finish making it like separately before you can go ahead to do this lace placement or fabric placement we have on it. So I have not drafted the lower part first, but this upper part is more important for this tutorial because the lower part is just like a basic mermaid dress with train. So this is what I have now. I'll go ahead to introduce another pattern paper. So this pattern paper now, I'm using it as if is the lace placement. That is this lace on this dress now. That lace now that is on this dress, that is what we are using this pattern paper as, right? So what I'll do is I'll take this lace and I'll attach it to the joining between the yoke of the back pattern of the front. I didn't get to see the back, so I'm just doing the back with my own description, right? So now after joining it, you use your pin to hold it. Please, this pattern paper is not transparent, but if you're working with your lace, it's going to be transparent and it will be easier for you to see what you're doing. You're going to get your fabric just like I'm doing now. You're now going to place it on the already made bustier that you have made with the yoke that you have joined with the lower part of the dress. So I'm still going to cut out the lower part of this dress, right? So what you do is you now go ahead and trace out the monostrap that is coming from one shoulder and forming like an off shoulder to the other side of this dress. Now if you look closer at the sleeve of this dress, at the shoulder of this dress, you notice that one side of this shoulder, the lace extended more than the actual shoulder of this dress. So that is what you're going to do here, but you're going to connect it to the back. Just like I said, I didn't get to see the back of this dress, so I'm just working. Any design for the back is just according to my own idea, right? So what you do now is to go ahead to drape your dress. So since I'm using a pattern paper, I'll just use a tape to hold it down. So you're going to trace like a monostrap coming from one side of the shoulder towards the arm. So while you're tracing the part going towards the arm, whatever you have should extend more than the actual the actual dress, right? Because you're already done joining your outfits and this is just a lace placement you're doing on top of it, right? So while cutting, I mistakenly cut out mine. So what I'll do is I'll add additional pattern paper to this side. So while you're doing yours, you don't need any joining. It needs to have like neat transition from the shoulder to the off shoulder side of this dress. Just add a little pattern paper. So when you're tracing yours out, when you get towards the shoulder part, please go ahead to extend it a little. And now whatever I have, I'll connect it to the back. So please, just like I said, I didn't get to see the back of this dress. I'm just going ahead to work on the back pattern with my own idea. So when you do it this way, you have a monostrap at this side, right? Then you go ahead to drape this fabric from the shoulder to the other side of your dress. Now after you're done doing this, let's work on the back, on the skirt pattern. So for the skirt pattern, we have like a mermaid skirt there. So for this lower part, what you need is from your waist measurement to your hip point. So your hip point can be 7 inches. If you're much taller, use 8 inches. Then mark your knee point. This is my waist to hip point and my waist to knee point. Now you need this measurement. And after marking that, mark your waist measurement divided by 4, add your sewing allowance. Here, you're going to mark your hip circumference divided by 4, add your sewing allowance. Now, whatever you have here, minus 2 inches from it. That is your hip measurement and your sewing allowance. Whatever you have there, minus 2 inches and mark it on your knee point. Now, from that knee point, please go up by 2 inches. Now, place your ruler and draw out a straight line. After marking this, the next step is to go ahead to extend that measurement you marked on the knee on that 2 inches point. Connect from the waist to knee and from the waist to that 2 inches that you came up from, and then connect. Now to mark a mermaid dress, you either use your hip circumference divided by 4 and add extra 8 inches to it, or you can just mark your dress, cut your dress by 18 inches, right? So whatever measurement that works for you, use that, and then I'll go ahead to connect this. So after I'm done connecting, we are done drafting for the front. I'll just go ahead and I will cut this out, right? So after cutting this, I'll keep this aside. Now let's say this is the back pattern of the skirt, so you can add extra 10 inches or 15 inches or 20 inches because this dress has a tail. This totally depends on how long you want your tail to be. Now on that line you have, place your skirt on it, that is the front part on it. Now you're going to start by marking the zipper allowance, whether you're using 1.5 or 2 inches. After that, you're going to place your ruler. You're going to connect, drawing out a straight line, and connect from this point here towards the knee point. That is that point that we went up by 2 inches after the knee line, then connect it. So this totally depends on how wide or long you want your tail to be at the lower part of your dress. Now another thing you need to do is that you're going to increase the length of your skirt. So after your skirt length, you can add extra 15 to 25 inches depending on how long you want the tail to be at the lower part of your dress. So what I'll do now is to go ahead to connect from the waist to the hip point, and then I'll connect this. I'm tracing out what I have exactly by the side, right? So after connecting that, I'll just go ahead to extend this. Remember, add extra length to your skirt so that you can have that tail. So make sure that this point matches, and then you now connect it to that extra length you have. So I don't have much pattern paper, so I just made use of what I have here. Now if it's that 10 inches you added, you now extend it all the way down to the tail of this skirt, that is this part that has the zipper allowance. Then after that, you just go ahead to cut out your skirt, right? So remember, when you're drafting out the skirt, you're not going to use your real skirt length, right? That is for the front part. If your skirt length is 58, you can add extra 5 to 10 inches to it. Then when you're drafting the back, remember to add extra inches to it, because if you look at this dress you notice that it exceeded the actual length of her dress. Like, it is very flowy. So whatever you are going to use is going to be extra from the original length in order to cover up. So this is what I have for the skirt pattern. Next, let's explain the draping that we have on the dress. Notice this draping on this dress. After you're done joining your dress, you're done with the lace placement on top, you're going to get your mesh and you're going to drape it coming from one side of the under bust towards the waistline on the other side, and you're going to use your needle and thread to hand tack it neatly, creating a drape at this side of your dress.